Welcome back, healers, to the Lucky Die. Previously, Laffian and Zaltanna help heal a dragon, Rhal asked to look after the sick dragonborn, and Squash receives a bloody gift. The team came face to face with a dragon that could save Rhal, and instead Rhal made a bargain to take the sick dragonborn away from Dammaz. Leaving their Tabaxi friend to heal Wurunwa, the team settled down for the night, ready to take a ship in the morning to Geerta. What sort of magic could do this damage to a dragon? Is mixing magic and God's Dream all that bad? And what adventures await our heroes on the high seas? I guess we're about to find out. Welcome back to the Lucky Die.
The rain is coming down hard. The storm isn't so bad that you can't sail this morning, but regardless of that, you've been told you have to sail. You find yourself standing on a ship with crewmates that you are currently unfamiliar with. You've heard of the captain a few times, met them once or twice. Dorolith. Dorolith is a black dragonborn, old, ancient, covered in scars, weather-beaten. You respect him as a captain. Standing next to him is a kobold. She's softly spoken and reveals herself to be the quartermaster. The man standing behind her shoulder is Jurid, a red dragonborn. He is the other important person on this boat. He is the carpenter. And then, of course, there is you. So, Kessi, who are you?
My name is Fezea. I'm a very small kobold with purplish, bluish grey skin with white splotches and dark brown horns. And she's wearing a brown tunic and a white apron, off-white apron.
Is it off-white or is it dirty?
Huh?
Is it off-white or is it... Okay, all right. I feel like I'm being grilled, but I'm not sure.
Fezea, you have, because of the experience that you've had in relation to what's going to happen, you have been basically thrown into the position of surgeon. You are also, by who you are and the way you do things, you're also the cook. So you hold two exceptionally important jobs on this ship. There are a few other sailors on this boat. There are 4 others, in fact. There are 2 kobolds who are stacked and jacked as all hell. Swole, I think is a word I've heard the other day.
A swobold?
They are swobold. They are twins, a brother and a sister. They don't look much different. But they look like people who know their way around a ship. And like they know their way around a sword. There are also 2 tall, lithe blue dragonborns who stay together very, very close. They clearly have a bond beyond just co-workers. Fezea, as the captain is making their speech about being safe and being an unusual journey, and yes, they will have to go above and beyond even more than they normally do when they're out on a voyage for Dammaz. Today is a special one. They'll be going to a place that nobody has ever been before. They'll be going to Geerta, and the captain points at you and explains that you have knowledge, you will be joining the crew, and they will salute you. It's roughly about this point that you see 5 figures approaching. You see a tall humanoid figure bundled up in robes and bundled up in warm weather gear, much thicker than you're normally used to seeing. It's quite cold in Dammaz, you're kind of used to it, but this person clearly is not. There is another dragonborn walking beside him, who is wearing bright yellow warm weather gear. There is a smaller person wearing some sort of leathers underneath some sort of chain. They have kind of wavy hair, it's about shoulder length, and a beard to match. You think you miss it, but you just see it between those 3 figures. You see 2 smaller ones. A kobold, you know, who is basically in charge of the island day to day. And another smaller person, slightly shorter, about 3 feet tall, bundled up wearing these kind of very thick amount of cloth. They walk up the gangplank. The kobold walks away. And this is how you meet everybody else.
So what kind of ship is it?
The ship you're walking onto has 2 masts. There is the... See, I have a diagram I have to look. So I fuck this up. I know at least one person thirsty will screw me on this. There is the foremast, a slightly shorter mast that is at the front of the boat. And then you have the main mast, which is pretty tall. The boat is made of wood, and there is a figure of a dragon on the front of it. It looks like there are a couple of decks. There is the main deck. There is the kind of like gun deck, which is where most of the people will be staying. And then there is the hold at the bottom of the ship. That's kind of really all you get from being pushed on board with your belongings.
Hold on, there's a gun deck. Are there cannons?
There are, in fact, 2 cannons. There's also 1 long boat.
2 cannons on each side, or just 1 and 1?
1 per side. You can see that the crew of this boat is about 8 people. You can see a mixture of dragonborn and of kobolds.
Oh, that's not a big crew, but this is a long journey. We need probably all the stores we need for fruit.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I don't think a lot of people want to do this journey.
No, this was a very last-minute journey. You see the person you you would assume to be the captain sort of like make their way back up, make their way onto the top of the deck. And they seem to be like beginning to get most of the other sailors up and about and moving. And you're just left with this kind of smaller kobold and another smaller kobold who are kind of making their way towards you. The quartermaster introduces herself as Zarya, and standing next to her is going to be Fezea.
Welcome to the SS Oslo!
No. As I have tried to tell you, this ship is not that. It is called Phoenix.
With an F?
Hello? Yes.
Like the fox?
And you see them like tip their heads
More
from
like
side
a
to side.
phoenix, but with an F.
Oh, I see. Okay, Phoenix, not Fennec. Okay, got it.
We call our ship Phoenix. Welcome to the Phoenix. This is the surgeon. You may refer to them as Fezea. I am Zarya. I am the quartermaster, first mate. We have limited ability to communicate so fluently while the spell still holds. You will be treated, the 4 of you, no different to any other apprentice sailor. We do not have the time nor the luxury of giving you private quarters and treating you anything more than just new sailors. These are the rules of this ship. Do not steal, do your job, or you will be thrown over the side of this ship. I don't care who you are. Understood?
Squash nuts.
Sure.
Crystal.
Rhal doesn't look like he's been listening, but he nods when he sees everyone else nod. Rhal's in a weird way because Aema left him on Dammaz, and he's felt weird about that since. So he's just trying to breathe and not paying a whole lot of attention because all of this sucks.
Yeah.
This whole situation is
there
just the worst.
subtext to this? Did she leave me as a message?
No. This is Fezea, the surgeon. Fezea, you will be in charge of these 4. We should be able to run the rest of the ship without too much interference. You report to Fezea. Any questions?
Is the Dragonborn all right? He's breathing really heavily. Are you seasick?
Rhal hides in his sweater a little bit more.
He'll be all right. He's just nervous.
I'm fine.
Well, if you're nervous about the sea going, come talk to me. I can give you something for seasickness.
I want to kind of like walk up ostensibly to shake their hand and then just kind of like lean down and be like, give him the easier tasks.
Is that to me?
Yeah, to you. Yeah.
Oh, I don't give out the task over here.
Put in the word. Like, I don't know.
I'm just a surgeon and a cook.
Okay. Wait, hold on. In that case, I said it to the captain. No. Zaltanna said it to Kessi's character because Zaltanna doesn't understand how a ship works. That makes sense.
No, that's fine.
Zaltanna kind of looks taken aback and is like, oh, okay, well, then tell whoever it's in charge then, I guess.
Sure. That would be... What was the name of the character,
Zarya.
Zarya. That would be Zarya.
Gotcha.
Fezea and Zarya.
Yes.
Okay.
Zarya.
I'm trying to do my best to remember these 2.
For those of you who spell that game at home,
No.
Zaria. And it's thanks to one of our patrons, but I forgot to write down who did it. I'll just remember to thank you at the end of the episode. So thank you.
And mine is Fezea. Oh my god. EA. There we go.
I what?
It's Kathy that submitted that name.
Yep. Thank you, Kathy. Spend the day, get used to the boat, learn how it operates. Always listen to everybody who basically isn't you for, and you should be fine. If you need anything, I am Zarya. I mostly spend my time up there, and they indicate up to like where the kind of the wheel is.
The helm.
If not, thank you. If not, you can find me down in crew quarters. I don't sleep separate. We don't have the extra facilities.
This is where our all of our time playing Sea of Thieves is going to come in handy for little tech for language.
I haven't played it. Okay.
V, I'm gonna tell you the most important thing right now. All right. Port side is left. The way that you know that is because port, like left, has 4 letters.
Okay.
Starboard is the right side.
And it's like right because there are 5 letters in starboard, right?
Yeah, exactly. You counted
No.
it.
It also has...
Starboard is spelled.
Yeah, it has 2 R. It has an R in it, so right. Starboard.
It's spelled STRBORD.
Yeah, and there are no R's in
BD.
port, like we all
We'll
know.
figure it out.
Whatever way it makes it
got this.
easiest for you to remember.
We've got this.
The keel is the underside.
Okay. So Zarya makes her way up to the helm, and the captain essentially makes their way back down into a little cabin underneath it. And you see them sort of like, as they open the door and go into the cabin underneath the helm, you can see that they are moving papers around and there seems to be maps and stuff, but then the door quickly closes. The rest of the crew begin running up the rigging, bringing down the masks so that they can begin to sail away. Yeah. Everybody is basically 2 tasks other than the 5 of you right now.
Fezea, was it? How do I pronounce it?
Yes.
The tongue's a little bit
Fezea.
difficult to...
It is Fezea.
Fezea.
Yes.
Right. Did you say that you're the surgeon and the cook?
Yes.
All right. A few of us are relatively well-accomplished healers, and I've been learning how to cook fairly recently, so if you need assistance, any way we can help.
Zaltanna gets a
sure.
terrified look on her face when you say that. By the way.
The cooking or the healing?
No, the cooking, not the healing, the cooking.
If we do the whole thing where you make fire out of eggs on a boat, we'll all be in the water.
I physically, it is quite possibly nearly improbable that would ever happen, just because of the fact that I have a focus that makes it where that shouldn't happen.
I can tell you exactly the.
I can
probability
make
of
myself
that.
proficient with chef's utensils.
Oh boy.
There's still 1 out of 20, and it's still you, so you still get a couple bonus probability points on the fact that you're probably going to roll lower. So it's not even 1 out of 20. It's like, 1 in 10
Y'all are
chance
just
that you
drinking from that hater.
So,
burn this boat down with your bad eggs.
You all need to make sure that you are aware of where your belongings are on this ship, and you need to be aware of how many rations you have upon your person.
Oh.
Yes, whilst you are on board the boat, yes, there will be food provided, and there should be enough stores to get you to where you're going. Mm-hmm. But for whatever reason, if you get knocked off of board and they leave you behind, you'll be dealing with whatever is on your person. So please bear that in mind.
I have
Oh,
a question. What if I never wrote down how many rations I have?
Then assume from this point on that you have 5. If you didn't write it down, you're going to have 5.
Okay, thank you.
But if you did, you have however many rations you have.
I have a game mechanic question. I accidentally clicked this skill. I think everyone can see it. Are we gonna assume that I'm just going to make food for the whole trip, or do we have storage food?
So there is food that has been stored, because in whatever event is, for example, your character hasn't managed to sleep, or that you run out of spell slots, or for whatever reason you get swept overboard and they lose you, they won't have any food. So there is backup food, but it is always appreciated that you can actually create fresh food.
And
so
how much?
Pretty
is
much
45 pounds of food. How much? Is that enough for the whole crew?
It says enough to sustain 15 people.
Okay.
Yeah, that's more than enough. Everyone will be eating well for the next few days. It's definitely more than enough. Okay. So for the most part during the day, the 5 of you get used to the ship. You get used to what is on the main deck. There is the place with the helm. There is a cabin underneath that where it looks like navigation and where important meetings are held. There also appears to be in the back of that area a small cabin which the captain has. The main deck itself has 2 cannons and 1 longboat. There are 2 masts on this. At the very front of the boat, there is a dragon that has been carved into it. And as you kind of get used and look around and begin to lean over the side of the ship, if you're feeling brave, you can see that bright coloured patterns have been painted across the lower parts of this boat. As you go to the next deck down, you see that it is filled with stores, that there are tools here that have been secured to the walls, that there are hammocks, more than the current crew, because you would expect that this ship would normally have a lot more. But there is enough for the crew that is here and yourselves, plus a few extra. Heading down to the deck below that, it is just a hold. There are just things that they want to keep in longer storage that they won't need as often as they would need, for example, food or basic tools. This is kind of the layout of the boat. Laffian, as you go about your day, as you kind of go down to the lower decks and go back up, learn how to tie ropes, all that stuff, you become aware that when you close your eyes, you are seeing darkness again. That blind sight you got from having the blessings of dying summer are now gone.
Oh.
For those who can see it, the tattoo on your shoulder of the eye has basically half closed and is no longer glowing.
Sad.
Ooh, sad times. So you also lose detect magic. Not that you literally ever cast it, but
I never needed to. We always had a demi.
Yeah, well, that's not a thing anymore.
Oof.
Boo. Okay, so I'm basically going to say most of this day is filled with rain. It's filled with learning how to tie ropes. It's getting your footing on this boat. It's learning who people are. Is there anything that anyone particularly wants to do before the captain or the quartermaster gives you any specific orders for the kind of evening and afternoon?
Rhal spends the first part of his day probably staying out of sight a little bit because still, weirded out about the people around. I think he's going to focus and try to he's done a lot of stalking plane things lately. And now that he's worried, he's going to try to focus and see if he can figure the hourglass thing out by himself.
Oh, okay. Yes. You have a book which is essentially the kind of like how to be a friend of death.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. You kind of like having like a little bit of a glance or a flick over that. You kind of like begin to get a feeling like, like this breaking into the stalking is more common than people are led to believe. Like, and you've done this a few times. You know how to do this. It's not quite the same, but it's on that same level. Okay. Describe to me whose hourglass you want to try and see and how you're going to go about doing it.
Right now, just Dammaz, because that's who I'm concerned with.
Yeah. Okay.
He's going to focus on kind of the same aspect of thing that brings things to and from the stalking.
Yeah, I guess you have already before put something in the stalking plane.
Yeah.
So I guess you're kind of trying to grab something, but also not at the same time. Okay. In that case,
Aima
I would
someone
like
really
you
close to him. He's just going to focus on Aima, much like he did with the tree. And he just hopes that closeness
is
to her being the first hourglass that he's trying kind of helps him,
Yeah. Let me just... Oh my god, you have fucking training in every goddamn thing now, don't you? Oh, why did I let you all level up?
What did I get trained in, V? I am not trained.
All of the saving throws now.
You can't kill me.
Okay. Now power word kill will come out, my friends. Okay, could I get you to either make an insight or a perception check for me, please? It's going to be a difficult check because you're still trying to do something super weird. But I'm going to make the check slightly less difficult because it's Aima.
An insight?
If you had to do this on someone completely random, like, for example, Fezea, then it would be much more difficult.
Insight?
Insight or perception?
Oh, insight for sure. Okay. It's a natural 20. Woo.
Well, fuck. As you... fuck. As you begin to focus on Aima, you recall seeing the deity of death themselves with all the hourglass hanging from their arm. You've glanced it once or twice on your spectre friends. And as you think about Aima, as you kind of push your soul through to the stalking, you see in front of you a series of hourglasses. You don't know who they belong to, except one. This hourglass is made of gold, and the glass itself has a slight texture to it, like scales. The glass itself, you can very easily see, has been cracked and broken, but has been put back together. You see that very thin line where it's been mended. You can see that there is sand inside of it, and it's about halfway full. But the hourglass itself is shaking from side to side. Most of it is still filling into the bottom, but sometimes it will flip and then flip back again. Most of the sand itself is in the top of the hourglass itself, but just on that occasion, it will flip and look like her sand is running out before it flips back again. And that's what you see. She's doing okay, just sometimes she takes risks.
A lot, apparently, unnecessarily. Perhaps.
That's her judgment call, my friend. But that's the general state of Aima's hourglass.
Okay. Well, it's better than it was before.
Cracked and broken, yeah.
It's not completely empty, so,
Yeah. You
That's
are
good.
aware that you can do this.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. The check was basically going to be a 25, so that was rough. Good job.
Oof. Yeah. Had to roll high.
That's super cool. Okay, is there anything anyone else would kind of like to do in this afternoon before the captain or the quartermaster gives you specific orders?
Fezea is taking stock of what's in the kitchen. Because I'm not part of the regular crew, so I'm getting acquainted with the kitchen, with the stocks, with what I have to work with.
What
That's
kitchen?
what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Is there a kitchen?
Yeah.
I would assume
there is a
there
galley. Yes. There is a galley. Nailed it. The galley it's not as well furnished as you like your galley, and it's definitely not as clean as you would normally have a galley. This could definitely use a little bit of TLC. This is not the greatest galley you've ever worked in. The stores themselves, like the ingredients on hand, you have some fresh, which you know you'd be expected to use earlier in the voyage because they wouldn't last. But mostly it's kind of dried this and dried that, things that you can just add water to. And there is a buttload of different types of spices. It's the only way to not go crazy. It's the same base food, but the spices are different. Like you have a good supply of stuff there. Also, probably checking out the medical stuff. There are a couple of healer kits there. So, like you could stabilize someone with this healing kit. There are also things for like broken arms and broken legs, etc. And there are a couple of very sharp scalpels if needed.
Okay. So I'm going to spend the afternoon before the captain gives us any other jobs arranging the kitchen to my liking. OCDing the shit out of the kitchen.
You can absolutely take one of these and make them help you because they are your minions now. It's definitely a thing. So yes, you can definitely arrange the galley and the kind of like surgeon area. Not that there really is a specific area, but you could definitely arrange those to your liking. Not a problem. Okay, next.
I think Squash basically spent a little bit of time like tying down his backpack. Just making sure it doesn't go anywhere after being pointed to a hammock.
Yep.
Yeah, like gets pointed to a hammock that's his, and then he just spends a little time tying down his stuff. And I think he's trying to do. So last night he had like a weird. I don't know what exactly to call it. Experience with the Godstream and the magic learning. And he's trying to figure it out. And every now and then he'll like pull up the sleeve of his arm and all the other runes have like smudged and destroyed in the rain. But there's one rune that's sticking and he keeps rubbing at it. Just like, is this really?
Are you doing that in front of anybody else?
It's very...
Like checking out the rune, like...
Well, it's subtle. Like he's not like in the middle of a hallway where people walk, blasting his hand like.
Check out my new sign. Yeah, like okay, no, that's fine. In that case, I will leave it to the others if they notice that you're.
I know that rune. It says sushi.
Out of the ordinary.
No, the tattoo artist said it meant love and peace.
No, stop it. You notice during the day as you kind of like continue to look at it, like the ink that is staying on the rune, which seems to have stuck, control flames. You notice that around the lines, like your skin is beginning to turn like that kind of really dark red, like it's becoming infected with something. But there's something not right about what's happened.
Boy, I'm gonna have to go to the surgeon, aren't I? And what's the surgeon gonna do? Chop it off.
Cut it off. Turn it into sushi.
Alternatively, you could just find one of the people who has healing magics.
Yeah, but you guys will judge me. I was doing dumb shit.
Yes, we will. Yes, we will.
Yes, they will.
Will we? Or will we be understanding friends?
Both?
B is going to be a lot more likely, but Squash is still coming to terms with that. Yeah,
it's not used to having friends.
Yeah, Squash is just kind of like meandering around, and he's messing with his hand. He's messing with the spell that he should know or doesn't really know exactly how it works.
if you are messing with control flame, you think you have the hang of it at one point, and then you just hear like a crack of like a timber nearby as you begin to like play with this magic. But something, as you kind of like, yes, I did a thing, and the flame got bigger. Something cracked behind you, and you were like, oh.
Cracked behind me.
Yeah, like, for example, if there is a candle down here or a lantern and you made the flame bigger or brighter because of control flame,
that's what you mean.
You heard something behind you crack at exactly the same time that the magic went off.
All right. Squash is gonna cut it out.
Chaos magic.
A wise plan. A wise plan. Zaltanna.
What is... Zaltanna's just kind of like, I don't know, probably like wandering around the ship, doing Zaltanna things. I don't know. She's probably never been on the ship before.
Meet with, I think that might be true for most of you, actually. Obviously, apart from our sailor. Yeah, you can definitely go around and chat with some of the people on board, like the 2 kobolds and the 2 dragonborn, the non-officers, I guess. Like, they would be like close enough to you and be willing to chat. You have like 2 very hench-looking kobolds and 2 blue dragonborn.
Swobolds.
So. Yeah.
Swobolds.
I'll go talk to them.
Pick one. Pick Swobolds or Dragonborn. Who do you want to chat with?
Swobold.
All right. Yes. So the 2 Swobolds, after they've kind of gone up into the rigging, and after the sails are up, and as the ship begins to make its way out into open waters, the 2 of them are kind of finishing up lashing things down, and they finish tying knots as they notice you over into one corner, and they kind of like give you a wave and like kind of gesture you to come over. One of them says, "Hello. You look very strong. Strong, the right word?"
Yeah, I think so. Zaltanna, like, you know, does the take it to the gun show thing with their arm.
You should probably take and they kind of gesture to the chainmail. You should probably take that off. If you fall in ocean, you're probably going to drown.
Oh. But like, what if we get like attacked or something?
It's okay. And like the pair of them, like you can tell at this point they're definitely twins. They kind of do the lifting their arm, and they definitely like swell their biceps up, and they are fucking huge.
They Popeye that shit.
Yeah, they're Popeye that shit.
Please tell me they're
like,
barbarians.
We will help to protect. We don't need armor. You don't need armor.
Well, but if I fall overboard and I don't have my armor, then what happens? Okay, I'll take it off for now. But if the ship starts going down, the first thing I'm doing is grabbing my armor.
That's
You can put
that's the opposite of what.
Zaltanna.
It's the opposite of what you want.
I think everybody's thinking that's the opposite of what you should do.
That's exactly the thing. That's exactly the point where she told you didn't want your armor to be on. That exact scenario.
Listen.
Come find Rhal. Come find Rhal, and I'll put it in the stalking plane on you. So that whenever you want it, you can just find me again.
No. Tiny things, Neil. Remember, tiny things. Not armor.
Zaltanna is a dwarf.
I'm going to put it... It's Zaltanna is a tiny thing, V. Technically, he could put me in the stalking plane if he wanted to. I'm small.
No,
you're medium.
No,
Stop
you're
it.
medium.
Squash is small.
Put Squash in the stalking plane.
No!
I'll put it in the bag of holding.
Yeah. After the two kobolds like convince you to take the armor off, they give you something thinner, sort of like it's like one of their pieces, but they've like stretched it and pulled it out and like put extra straps on it, so it doesn't fit perfectly, but it is at least slightly better. It's not going to give you quite the same level as the thing, but it makes you at least feel better. And they're like, "Can you? I'm sorry, we don't know all that much about you. Can you see in the dark like we do?"
Yeah.
You see the pair of them, they just like lift their arms at each other and they could like smile like, "You should come join us on Night Watch."
Okay, yeah, can do that.
Convert them.
Like we see in the dark, but our Dragonborn friends, they don't. So we take the night shift. It would be great to have someone as strong as we are at night. It would be great.
Yeah, I know. How shocking is it that Dragonborns can't see in the dark? Like, when I met Rhal and I found that out, I was like, what?
Well, he's the sick one, yeah?
Yeah.
He is very strong, gotten this far. And they, like, one of them, like, taps their chest, like, really hard, so it, like, reverberates. You can hear it.
He's the strongest guy I know.
Yeah. Well, that is good. The healing magics for the Dragonborn are not great. But we kobold, we make out for it best we can.
I want them in the party.
I love these two. By the way, they may be like a brother and a sister, but they sound identical. I'm not changing either of their voices. You will just have to guess who's talking. Okay, well, we'll tell the captain. He's a good friend of ours. Perhaps we will try and figure out your language, and you figure out ours. This spell will not last much longer.
What spell? What?
We can talk right now because we have a spell on us.
Oh.
You'll need a translator soon.
Yeah.
You translator. What? Well, hold on. Yeah. Zaltanna's gonna like? Do you speak anything other than Kobold?
We speak Draconic and we speak Common. But their Common is clearly not the same as yours.
Yeah. Man, I should have had Rhal teach me Draconic. I should have known months ago that I was going to meet the two most amazing kobolds on a ship and need to speak Draconic to be able to speak with them.
We should have known to learn the Dwarvish from the old masters. How could we not know we would meet someone as awesome as we are?
Oh my god, the three amigos.
All right, guys, let's not sprain our wrists jerking each other off.
So 2 barbarians and a paladin walk into a bar.
Yep. The two of them kind of like do that like high-five thing where their hands are up high enough that you could just high-five them both with a single hand clap.
Yeah.
And they're like, "We'll see you later for night shift, yeah?"
Yeah.
"Good night, my friend. What is your name?"
Zaltanna.
Zaltanna. This is one thing we will be able to speak in the whatever language we are going to learn, yes?
Yes, Zaltanna. Goddess of bloody vengeance.
There it is.
Zaltanna. Yeah, Zaltanna. And as they kind of like walk away, you hear them chatting to each other like, "No, we probably should have been smarter and learned the language, right?" No, we don't need to do that. We'll learn it. We are best. And they go downstairs.
The brain is just another muscle.
That's what I say. I've always said
we'll have swole jacked brains.
They are. I want them. I want them in my crew of godliness. I don't know how I'm going to convert them when we don't speak the same language, but I'm going to figure it the fuck out.
We speak the language of love and vengeance. It's fine.
This ship can't sink. We have too many muscles.
This ship can't sink.
Zaltanna's going to end up dragging poor Fezea to like be like, "Okay, I need you to explain to these kobolds that I'm a god, and I can give them like extra super cool barbarian powers if they believe in me." Just need.
Okay, so Zaltanna has 2 new friends. Okay, Laffian.
Why do you have
What
to
would you
make me
like to
follow
do?
up that? How am I supposed to follow up that?
I don't know, man. I believe in you.
God damn it. Okay, so I was doing some looking and reading at my skills and things because sometimes I forget, because in case y'all didn't know, I have a lot of abilities.
Yeah.
So I was looking at it, and one of my focuses that I have makes it where I can choose a skill and gain proficiency with it, or a tool. Funny enough, I looked at the list of tools. There's navigator's tools fall into that category.
Yep.
And there's also land and sea vehicles.
Vehicles.
So,
yep, absolutely.
Laffian's going to, for flavor, for how
Captain Laffian.
No. I'm not. No mutinies. No mutiny. Laffian's gonna probably like wander on the main deck, and as the crew is going about their duties, probably just like very casually, almost subconsciously, kind of reaching out and like touching onto the tendrils of like psionic energy coming off of them and picking up on these little threads of knowledge on how to operate the vessel.
Mm-hmm.
And just kind of without really concentrate or thinking about it, ends up picking up how to like work on it better.
Yeah. I would definitely say that as Laffian is going about and like kind of absorbing the ship and its inhabitants, you get a lot of information about this and about that, and it almost becomes natural that you begin to tie knots that you never knew how to tie before. Like just something in the way that you've seen other people tying that makes you, oh, if I do it slightly this way, it creates a different kind of knot, and like the other sailors around you begin to see and appreciate that. A similar thing goes for navigation itself, or figuring out how and what affects this, that, and the other, and how you're going to get to where you're going, and what north means and how they calculate that. You begin to pick up this, that, and the other. But you also are aware that there are some limitations to this.
Mm-hmm.
It is experience versus knowledge, and it's just the experience that you kind of are beginning to lack. But you'll get that. This is a voyage, so...
He's going to spend the time just trying to learn as much as he can, because he is one for knowledge.
Yes, this is definitely the ship for it. The crew that are on it are clearly very competent at what they do. There's a reason why we have a crew as small as it is, and why they could sail so quickly, even in such terrible conditions as the rain and the sleet that is coming down upon you. Okay. At the beginning of the evening, as the sun begins to set, as food is prepared, Fezea, what are you making for people today?
Something of the supplies that would easily go bad. I don't know what
vegetables.
Yeah, probably vegetables, and probably also some not cured meat. I don't know. Do they have mainly fish or meat there on the ship?
It would probably mostly be fish.
Yeah, then fish.
So like you. Having lived on Dammaz, you know that there are some cattle, kind of, but not a whole lot. Like, it's more fishing. There's a lot of sea around you.
What kind of fish is it?
It is
sunfish,
cod, and wolffish.
Ooh.
Because I know what they look like. So y'all feast down on like the vegetables that would go rotten fairly quickly, and like some fish that have been caught like throughout the day and put on the boat. Onto the ship. And you eat with the rest of the crew. The two kobolds, after having had like most of a day's nap, are kind of waking up. The two dragonborn are like talking with them and like, I guess, handing over information, like they didn't get a chance to do this, but they did do that. These chores have been done. Those chores have been done. And they seem exhausted. Like they've been working twice as hard today because they haven't had as many crewmen as they would expect or should have. The captain sits down with you all and says,
Right. So, I have heard from my friends that you, Zaltanna, will be joining them for a night shift.
Yeah. Yes, I will.
Good. Mostly make sure that things don't fly away. Slips are filled, cleaned up. And that if you see land, or if you see rocks, or if you see anything that is not a big fucking wave, you tell them. They will wake me.
So, wait.
Do exactly.
But we don't speak the same language. It might be hard.
Can you scream?
Yeah.
Nailed it. Problem solved.
Oh boy, can
Alternatively, you can draw some pictures. Make a bunch of cards and hold up whichever ones you see out in distance. Like make one for a whale, make one for a giant kraken, make one for, I don't know, sea serpent, bad weather, I don't know, storms, whatever.
I'm sorry. Hold on. Rewind there. Are those actual concerns?
Krakens, yes.
Sea
storms, yes.
serpents.
Yes. Have none of you ever sailed before?
No.
I've been on a lake. That's as far as I've gone.
I read a book once where this guy gave some drugs to a sea serpent and it let him pass. Is that a thing we can do? I don't think we have any drugs, but I'm just wondering.
I read a different book about a guy that was chasing after a large white whale.
No.
When I say read a book, I mean that happened in my non-podcast D&D campaign.
No, there are big sea creatures that could very easily rip this boat apart if we're not careful. Hence why we have all of the warding pictures on the bottom of the boat, and why we have the cannons. We hope not to use them to avoid them by being aware of our sea at all times. She is a giving and a taking mistress. We must treat her with respect. If we avoid the bad things, we should be fine. But it is the sea. Nobody rightly knows.
Well, I'll tell you what. I am happy to scream when called upon.
Excellent. My friends, they will treat you kind and teach you as many words as they can. They aren't... I think you have things in common.
And the captain indicates your biceps, basically.
She once again gives them the tickets to the gun show.
Yeah, okay, great. The captain just rolls their eyes and looks at the rest of them.
Yes, probably better we put all the troublemakers on the night shift. Okay, you.
And he points at Laffian.
What is it that you think you can do about this ship?
From what I've been observing so far today, I think I could do a great many things. I have a natural knack for learning new things very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I've been studying the navigation charts. I've been learning to do knots and everything. Okay. Jack of all trades, you might say.
Good. Basically, everybody on this ship is a jack of all trades, if that is how you phrase.
Figure of speech, yes.
This jack of all trades job. Basically, everybody can do a little bit of everything. Myself, I'm in charge of everything. My second in command, the quartermaster, she is basically in charge of how to run things on the boat. And then, of course, there is my carpenter, and he makes sure the boat stays ship.
Good. I thought I heard a crack down below earlier. I'm not sure what that was. Might want to look into.
If you spot anything, even just hear the tiniest thing, a tiny leak, anything, you must speak to the carpenter at once. We cannot let these things fester.
Understood.
I will pair you up with our quartermaster, Zarya.
All right.
You will help her do exactly as she bids. It will not be the most glorious of jobs, but we could use extra eyes on navigation, especially since we don't know where the fuck we are going. So, yeah, we'll be fine.
Well, that's what you have me here for.
Exactly. You will be there to help and guide us. Apparently, you have seen some shit. I don't know if that is also a figure of speech.
Well,
it is.
I've been washed out to the North Islands before. I've seen Gietha from afar.
Okay.
But it was in a storm.
Okay, that is fine. Better we get you to see the islands and make sure we are heading in the right place, and it is not just a sea mirage. That would be run aground of those a few times. Okay.
Or a very large whale.
Or a large whale. No, there are some creatures out there as big as islands, and they are definitely to be feared, but the chances of us coming across that are virtually nothing.
And then he turns to look at Rhal.
What about you? Anything in particular that you can help out on, or?
I've only been on a small boat. And he kind of points to the smallish boat that's attached to the ship.
Yeah, the longboat.
I don't know.
Okay, so you have some experience of the sea.
I've experienced it, I guess.
Okay. I will pair you up with the other two Dragonborn. They could probably use a hand during the day just to fix things, make sure that things don't fall apart, make sure that things are cleaned and well prepared.
Okay.
Hey, chin up. It's going to be okay. We will get you to Geata, no problem. At least my ship will get you to Geata.
Rhal kind of makes eye contact and a little bit of an awkward smile because he's just awkward at the moment, but positive reinforcement is helping, I guess.
Yeah,
being
the
acknowledged
captain,
in a way that isn't fuck you.
Yeah.
Cool.
The captain is they seem happy enough. They have the respect for you, and that was evident from the moment that you said you've been on the sea at least, compared to everybody else here. So that definitely got brownie points there. Okay, and then he turns to look at Squash.
What about you?
How can I be useful?
Yes.
I can climb pretty well, and I could probably be a lookout during the day. I'm blind in the night. Well, not really right now, but it's weird.
Weird.
I'm getting used to it. It's all off color. It's all weird.
Hey, what is your name? I'm sorry, I didn't get much information other than I'd be expecting you and taking you to places I've never been before, but what is your name?
I'm Squash. He's Laffian. That's Rhal and Zaltanna.
Right. Squash, you don't need to be so nervous. The ocean is a fickle bitch, but she will treat you kind, and I want to make sure you are looked after. Don't worry. You seem very nervous.
I've never been out on the ocean before.
Are you seasick?
Not yet. I used to get seasick in the underground rivers, but I also couldn't see anything.
Underground rivers.
Yeah, I lived in the Earth Dark for a long time, and we'd be on little boats that would run down the rivers there. But I couldn't see anything back then, so I just did it in the dark. This is weird. I also never had to stand up. This is really difficult. And I think Squash's tiny stature is not helping him.
Low center of
Oh
gravity.
no, you cannot see over the rail.
Yeah.
You know those little holes in the sides that lets water out? Squash is going to get washed out of one of those.
No, because there's also kobolds who are also kind of short.
They have a net there.
I'll take the kobolds.
No, they don't have a net.
No, in front
It's
of the
just the
holes.
railings are a little
In front of the
little
holes.
closer together. Yeah.
The holes are
Yeah,
kobold-proof.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, if you need something against seasickness, come talk to me. I can make something for you.
Is it ginger? Please tell me you have ginger.
Yeah, there's ginger.
Good.
Don't worry about it, Squash. You will get your sea legs in, and even if you don't, I don't expect the trip to take more than 10 or 12 days. The weather dependent, of course.
10 or 12 days. Okay. That's fine. I can try to be lookout. I can help. I saw people climbing on the ropes earlier. I can maybe help, but I'm not strong. I'm not strong, but I can climb. I don't know
If you
that's
can
useful.
climb, if you can climb, if you can tie knots, if you can be a lookout, that would help immensely.
I can tie knots.
Then you shall be useful up there. We shall keep you up in the crow's nest at the very top, and we will have you run up and down and tie the ropes and tie the knots and the things. You can be very useful up there.
Okay.
It will free up. It will free up some of the girls. They will be able to, they'll be able to do more things down on deck. Make their lives a little bit easier.
Okay.
And if you ever worry, speak to Zarya. She is very good with the crew. She's apparently very comforting. I don't know.
Sorry, aren't you Zarya?
No.
That is
Zarya's
the captain.
I am the captain of this ship, damn it!
That over there is Zarya. And I point to Zarya on the other end of the table.
Zarya waves at the other end of the table.
So who am I talking to?
The captain.
The captain!
The captain is
Doroloth.
Zarya.
No,
No.
Zarya is the commander master.
Doroloth.
Oh!
For those of you playing at home, Captain Doroloth, Doroloth.
Thank you. I didn't want to interrupt earlier, but wait, is it
I
Doroloth
appreciate
or Dorolith?
Doroloth.
What color Dragonborn is Zarya?
Zarya is a softly spoken kobold.
Oh, Zarya is a kobold. Okay.
Mm-hmm. The captain is a black dragonborn, and the carpenter is a red dragonborn.
What was the carpenter's name?
You haven't spoken to them yet.
Woody.
I swear.
Jurid.
I will drown us all.
J-U-R-I.
He's gonna set the ship on fire. No.
So, y'all have been given your tasks. We're basically going to walk through some of the days where nothing interesting is going to happen. It is going to be a few days of voyage. Some are going to be days where I require you guys to do checks or to interact with people. I know someone has a nightly thing, so I'll make sure we'll be doing that. But for the most part, we'll just be going through this voyage, and we'll be getting to the highlight moments, unless there's something specific that y'all want to do.
I do.
Okay. All right, then. For most of you, you're going to be able to go to bed tonight.
Good.
Zaltanna, this is the first night of your night watch. Okay. Let's start with Laffian, because there's something you want to do.
Yeah.
Okay, go for it.
I want to check in on Kythea.
Sure.
I'm going to use my find creature ability just so I can check in on her and make sure she's okay and see where she is.
Okay, let me find out exactly where she is.
And then depending what happens with her, I might do it again, I might try to check in with Marnak. Because I do want to test the brain link thing that he says that we have.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Okay, so first of all, when you send a message to Kythea, when you try and locate where Kythea is, thank you, I appreciate that. As you begin to focus on Kythea and you feel that extra heartbeat next to yours, as you begin to sense where that is, in your mind's eye, your spirit, your soul, whatever you wish to call it, it expands out from where you are. And you find yourself looking down on an island. As it begins to pull out a little bit, you see that it's on a chain of islands. And you recognize them to be the Oghath Isles, the islands of the orcs. She's roughly halfway across them.
Cool. Good.
She's safe.
Good.
And well.
All right. Then after that, at some point during the night, just before he, I guess, tries to meditate, he's going to start trying to explore the connection that he has with Marnak and see, if he can at least make contact and make sure that everything's all right with them.
Pretty much in a very similar method to find creature, but doesn't require any of your side points or any other BS. Very much similar to that, similar to the same deep feeling of meditation that you had to have before when you were trying to contact Marnak when he was sharing your brain, sharing your soul. You get a feeling of where he is. He's in pretty much the same place that you left. It's somewhere near Lynn's Lament in that kind of library area. You sense that his he seems nervous, worried, which is definitely nothing you've ever known him to be. He seems worried. He seems nervous. Something isn't going quite according to plan. But there is a still sense of clarity. He seems to know what he's going to do to solve the situation. He is safe. He is well. Just a little perturbed.
I'm going to try to do something then.
Okay.
So, because he did it for Laffian, Laffian's going to try to reciprocate and spend a little bit of time trying to see if he can send some of his psi points through the link to Marnak to help.
Okay.
Kind of like how Marnak gave him a bolster before.
Yeah. Do you know how much you want to send?
It's the end of the night, and I have a lot, so that depends how much you want to limit me to.
Well, it depends. Well, let me put it like this. Laffian is a smart man.
Yep.
He's also become aware that there are threats on the sea.
Uh-huh.
So, there you go.
I'm going to say I'm going to send him 14 psi points.
Okay. You feel like some of your own energy draining away as you send it down the network, down whatever it is that links you and Marnak across space.
Thoughts and prayers. I send him thoughts and prayers.
Thoughts, prayers, and most importantly, psychic energy. Yes. Okay. Yes, absolutely, you can do that. And as a once off and once only, because it's very thoughtful and very kind, you can have an inspiration point.
Yay.
Okay.
And then I rest.
Zaltanna, and then you rest. Zaltanna, you are going to do the watch with the boys. With the twins.
Yes.
They kind of show you how they run the ship as a pair. There's no, I want to say, boss during the night, because it's just the two of them, and they should have more people on deck. But as the language begins to break down, as the spell begins to stop, they begin to teach you some very simple phrases, very simple words, names for the various knots that they need you to do, or what different parts of the ship are called. And they just spend the evening running around and just telling you the specific names for physical warm-ups that they just do running around the ship, because it gets very cold at night. So they keep themselves very active, which is part of why they are so swole. So yeah, I'm going to say that you're beginning to learn a very specific set of language.
Nice.
With the two kobolds.
I'm going to change my other proficiencies languages and write buff kobold.
Soybold.
Yes. Swobolds.
Yeah.
As they're colloquially known.
There isn't... Yeah, as they're properly known, the Swobolds. As you kind of begin to learn those things, and they show you how to properly keep an eye out, and some of the things to look out for, and the language begins to break down, it becomes a lot harder. But there's nothing massively significant that happens on this night. You're just learning the ropes, and to be fair, y'all are still pretty close to Dammaz. She's still in known waters, as they explain.
Learning the ropes.
Okay, that was your one. Inspiration point back, please. No. That was your second. No, okay.
No.
Okay.
First one was Neil.
All right. That was Neil's fault. Okay. This is night one. Rhal, is there anything you want to do?
Please don't melt into a puddle.
You kind of don't melt into a puddle.
Oof.
No promises.
Can't make a promise on that one.
This is roughly a 1 in 10 chance, one might say.
It's a roughly 1 in 10 chance.
Rhal is gonna visit the carpenter before bed.
Okay. The carpenter's name is Jurid, as you find out, and they actually speak passable common. They have picked it up from somewhere. It's very much that old-timey common, much like if we were speaking ye olde English. Mm-hmm. It's much like that. They speak passable, and they're very happy to speak that with you, or draconic, whichever you prefer. Yeah, they're kind of like a very seasoned sailor. They have red scales.
Very meekly, Rhal, I feel like Rhal hasn't taken the hood off from over his head the whole time, but it has been raining. Yeah. It's not really because of that, but it looks kind of like it's not weird at the moment. He walks up in Draconic because that's, what he knows is native. Hi.
Hey.
Sorry to bother you. Do you have a piece of wood by chance I could borrow?
He kind of like smiles, and let's say you find him down in like that kind of like main area where everyone where all of the sleeping bunks are, and he's like surrounded by odd bits and pieces of like wood and like tools and stuff. I've got some. What are you looking for?
Something square. Rhal kind of makes a cube shape with his hands, maybe a foot.
Yeah. Yeah, he's like, sure.
Broken
what
is
do you
fine.
want it for? Does something need fixing?
No. It's first. I'll show you.
All
I'll
right,
show you
then.
when it's
does
done.
it need to be a good bit of wood or an off-cut?
It can be a broken piece, but
I've got plenty of broken pieces of wood over here.
Something
and he
with a good
goes
piece that's not broken. I mean, a big square of something pretty.
The word you're looking for is block.
Pretty.
He brings out this like piece of wood. It's like he indicates that he could cut it down to a square. It would be like slightly like fractured and broken around some of the edges, but it's as good as like a square piece of wood as you could get. And he hands it over and says, "Here you go, lad.
Thanks.
What are you doing with it?"
I want to make something. I'll show you.
Are you a carpenter like myself, or are you more of an artist?
I don't know how to make things, really. I just melt the wood a little.
He smiles and he's like, "Hey, my daughter does the same. I used to be into burning ships out of wood myself, but I've got a bit of that practice. If you need anything, you need any masking or anything like that, just give me a shout."
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And he goes about his day.
Yeah, Rhal awkwardly goes back about his business.
There's suddenly a lot of licking and slurping sounds coming from Rhal.
Yep. Okay, that's fine. Okay, Squash. Let's hit it. What are you doing this evening?
Squash.
Squash.
I think Squash spends a good while in bed, just kind of like eyes open. He's not actually reading for the first time in a long time while resting. He's just kind of staring at the ceiling above him. And I think he gets out the book and starts reading a little bit, and the focus plus the rocking just makes him sick again. And he puts the book away again, and he's thinking about the things, and he can feel himself kind of drifting off. And I think he doesn't, I think he gets up, and I think he plays around with the spell a little bit more. Now, there is no privacy on board a boat.
No. Absolutely not.
So I think he goes where the kitchen area would be.
Yeah, the galley, yeah.
And I think he probably, if there's a light there that he can mess around with that wouldn't disturb anybody else. I think Squash would, mess around with that a little bit. And...
Okay. As you begin to experiment with, the kind of flame that is kept lit here in the galley, every time that you do a tiny piece of control, your arm hurts the rune that you are casting through, the thing that reminds you of how to cast this spell, how to draw the power, it hurts. And the more that you mess with it, the more that you try, even when you try to be subtle and just do it very small amounts, the pain increases every time you do. And as you look at your skin underneath the light that you are trying to control, you notice that the ink is beginning to spread a bit further into your arm, so it's much harder to read the rune. The flame, for the most part, does what you want it to. But just on that odd occasion when you think you've actually got control of this, it changes. Like the color of the flame will change. A smell will suddenly come from out of it, creaking of the wood behind you. And as you notice at one point, the flame just snuffs out completely, only to reignite a few seconds later.
I think Squash calls that good enough for the evening. And he gets back into the hammock, lies down, and he gets out the book. And again, it lasts only like a couple of minutes before the seasickness takes him again.
Mm-hmm.
And he puts the book away again. And as he's putting it away, he can hear the clinking of the God's Dream vials at the bottom of his bag. And he gets one out and...
Okay.
Yeah.
Your dreams are a little bit weird this time round. You're mixing this, man. Like this is how we've decided this thing's going down.
And then I got high.
And then he got high.
And then I got to sleep.
As you dream, things are a little bit weird. You're in a heist. You're about to go steal something from someone very important. It's somewhere on this boat, and the things shift again from being inside a building to being inside the boat. There are cohorts around you. You recognize Crescent, and you also recognize Dammaz, and they've never met. But that's fine. It's a dream. Everything's normal here, right? And then you hear Dammaz tell you...
Right, we'll get something from there. And then we'll get something for there.
And then Crescent cuts in from... Well, actually, if we steal something from over here and we push them together...
Yeah, in a circle. A circle. That's how these rune things work. Right, Squash?
Yeah. We...
Right, all right. Let's do it then. Let's put everything in the middle.
The three of you spread out. There's something weird going on in this dream. Like, things keep shifting. You're in a boat and then suddenly you're in a building that you recognize. It's a place that you have stolen from before. It's the inside of the lodge. And as you reach out to grab this small vial, it turns into a small hammer. And you look at it and your God's dream brain just switches and realizes it shouldn't be the hammer. This isn't real life. This is just a dream. And it switches into ink. You run back to the center and there is a rune on the floor. Except it's not filled in properly. It disappears from your view again. And as you drop the ink in the center, everything else disappears. And you see a completely new rune form in the center. And when you wake up, that rune is burned in your memory. What do you want to do with it?
Squash is gonna, he's focusing on the rune and trying to, trace it out in his head. And he can feel, his consciousness is slipping again. So he's gonna just quickly grab out of his bag a vial of ink and he's gonna trace the rune on his hand.
Okay. You have now learned light? ?
All right.
Okay. As a side effect of this strange transformation that Squash is going through, you can no longer react to enemies within 5 feet.
Yes.
That weird thing where you can do that thing because you're a scout rogue, that's now being
it's called
torn out. You can't do that.
Skirmisher. That's
the one. You literally can't do skirmisher anymore. Okay.
Oh, I see what you're doing. Okay.
Welcome to the party.
You're becoming a trickster.
He's not, but you'll find out.
Oh.
On the next episode. No, Fezea.
Yes.
Is there anything that you wish to be doing overnight?
Before I hit the bed, I collect all the leftovers if there are any, and try to make something out of them. Like, I don't know if there's fish or whatever, I'm gonna pickle it, make something that's
mystery
non-perishable.
Stew.
Huh? Yeah.
Mystery stew.
Yeah,
you can create like leftovers for the next day, or you can find a way of preserving them. Like, you have been a cook on board a ship for a while, and you're also some sort of physician, so you probably know how to preserve and save things pretty well. So yes, absolutely, you can make the stores last longer that way for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Alrighty then. We'll say the end of day 77. Blimey, guys.
Is that
first day on board your ship? It's only on day 77. I haven't even hit 100 days yet, yo.
My goodness. We've had over 100 episodes.
Well over 100 episodes.
It's like 2 episodes a day. I will be changing that real quick, though. All right. On day 77, the end of the morning of 78 is where we'll pick up the next episode.
Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, God, I love those swobolds.
They're a little bit too good.
What? No, for the 5th time now. I'm not the captain. What? Oh, you wanted to know about me? Hello. Yes, I'm Fezea. I'm voiced by Kessi, and oh, you just listened to the Lucky Die. I see. Yeah, that's great. Keeps you distracted when you're seasick and stuff, right? Yeah. If you need help with that, you can always come to me. I will make something for you. Well, if you need something to read while you distract yourself from the seasickness, you can also go to theluckydie.com and visit us there, leave us a message there. I don't know. Interact with us there. You can find everything there. Trust me. It's more cluttered than the pantry on this ship, really. Not that I'm complaining. I like a filled pantry. Especially since this nice patron, L.A. Branton, was so generous to fill it up with lots of supplies for us. No. Don't open that box just yet. That crate is for opening after the credits. What? Oh, you're asking about the names that the Swobolds had carved on the rail of the ship? Yeah, they are a little bit done still, too. They needed some reminders on who the people on this ship are. Oh, you cannot read Draconic, I see. So that name's Asaria. Apparently that one was given to us by Kathy. And this means Jurid. Apparently that was given to us by Redstring. Yeah. Oh, and that extra disembodied voice that you heard earlier just hovering over the ship, that was Thirsty playing Dammaz. No, I told you to stop looking into this crate. Oh, for fuck's sake. No, it's not contraband. It's... Look here. This is... We traded crates with the other ships that were at the harbor in Dammaz earlier. It's just a little thing we do to keep each other entertained on the long voyages, you see? We did a little ad swap with them, see? There are ads in here. This one that we have over here was with a show called The Crit Show. It's quite delightful, actually. See, you open the lid on the crate a little bit, the show starts playing. See? Like this.
On The Crit Show, a Monster of the Week actual play podcast where the players, playing as themselves, are tasked with...
Okay, let's close this again. Well, anyway, if you're interested to hear more of The Crit Show, go check them out. Don't listen to it when you get seasick again. Maybe it will distract you enough to keep you out of my hair. Now, shoo, I need to start cooking already. Dinner's not gonna cook itself.
You wake up startled in the middle of the night, convinced that there's something out there in the darkness. Your brain tells you that there's nothing to be afraid of, that the inhuman shape in the corner of your room is just your laundry piled on a chair. But as you hear the ghostly, ragged breathing that doesn't belong to you, you realize your brain is dead wrong. If you love the mix of horror, mystery, and comedy in shows like Buffy, Ash vs. the Evil Dead, or Supernatural, you'll feel right at home on The Crit Show, a Monster of the Week actual play podcast where the players, playing as themselves, are tasked with being the last line of defense from the forces of evil that go bump in the night. Join us every Wednesday and learn the games we play while the gang tries their best to solve the mysteries, hunt the monsters, and protect the innocent. Their intentions are good. Their dice rolls, not so much. You can find The Crit Show at thecritshowpodcast.com or wherever you listen to podcasts.